Overrated or underrated? Let's talk about Paris. Ooh, I love Paris. I think it's very much overrated. Paris is one of those cities that's been on my list since I was very little because of movies and TV shows and music. I had this very romanticized view of what Paris would be like when I finally got there. Of course, everyone's different, and we would love to hear your thoughts. Are these places overrated or underrated in your opinion? Let us know in the comments below. When I finally visited Paris in June 2016, I was bitterly disappointed. Now I love to shop, so I was looking forward to shopping in Paris. Again, because of movies and TV shows, I thought that I would find the cutest, most unique shops and boutiques with the most unique items that I could not find anywhere else. But to be honest, it was just disappointing. Felt like everything was overpriced and very touristy. Also, a lot of the stores were closed. I know this is another broad statement because Paris has so many different neighborhoods, but we were pleasantly surprised by every neighborhood we visited. The Latin Quarter is known for being the home of the Sorbonne University and for being a popular hangout spot for students. I know that I said that I didn't think the food was that great, but that's only because we didn't go to the right places. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing travel experiences. And check out the links in the description for cheap flights, hotels, cars, and more. We went to the typical tourist places, which, to be honest, I think have mediocre food. But if you go to local spots that aren't in the guidebooks, then you will find some amazing food. We discovered one of these places by accident. We were walking around looking for a bakery to get some croissants, and we stumbled upon this place called Au Petit Grec. It was a small hole in the wall that was packed with locals. Always a good sign. And we were able to get a table outside. We ordered some coffee and croissants, and they were amazing. It's the best croissants we've ever had, in my opinion. And the coffee was strong and flavorful, just the way I like it. And while it is a great place to hang out and relax, it's also a great place to shop. We found so many cool vintage stores and boutiques with the most unique items that I have never seen anywhere else. So if you're looking for something unique to bring home from Paris, then definitely check out the Latin Quarter. There were so many hidden gems to discover, and while there were a lot of tourists, it didn't feel overcrowded. It always felt like we were discovering a new part of the city. Our favorite neighborhoods were La Mer, Saint-Germain, and Montmartre. But to be honest, we loved all of them. Remember when I mentioned that I visited in June? June is actually the month of the workers' protests in France. So a lot of the time we couldn't even get into the stores because they were closed due to the workers' protest. You couldn't even enter the mall because it was closed. To be honest, I'd say that if you want to shop, you're better off shopping online where you can find more unique items and they're cheaper. I actually really like the Eiffel Tower, so I don't think it's overrated. However, I do think going up, it is overrated. But some places were just rude, and it made me feel like they did not want our business. Maybe it was because we were tourists, or maybe it was because we don't speak French. Whatever the reason, it was annoying. We went up twice, once in 2016 and once in 2023. Both times, we regretted it. The first thing I want to talk about is how underrated I think the catacombs are. The catacombs are an underground tunneling maze system where over 6 million people died during the French Revolution. And it's honestly one of the coolest places I've ever visited. It's chilling to walk through the tunnels and think about all the people who died here. You can visit the catacombs for free. All you have to do is dig a hole in the wall. Just kidding. But really, it's very easy to get into, and it's free. I know that there has been some discussion about whether it's right or wrong to dig holes in the walls and to allow tourists to go in, but I personally don't care. I think it's totally fine. People are going to keep digging holes regardless of whether it's allowed or not, so I would rather it be allowed so that people can be safe. Because the catacombs are so easy to get into, there are a lot of people who visit, which means that there aren't many hidden gems in the area. Everything that people want to see has already been seen. So I would say that the best thing to do in the catacombs is to get lost. Get lost in the tunnels and discover your own hidden gems. It is just not worth the money. If you want to go up the Eiffel Tower, do it once, but just to say you've done it. I need to spend money going up when you can have a perfectly good view from the ground. Speaking of views, there is nothing spectacular about the view from the top of the tower either. We went up in the first class in 2016, which was almost 300 euros for 2 people. In 2023, we went up in the second class, which was a ripoff, in my opinion. I wouldn't recommend doing it at all, even though it's cheaper than the first class. If you're worried about the lines, you can skip them by purchasing tickets online. But why pay for the privilege when you don't have to? Don't get me wrong, Paris is still a beautiful city. There are things that I loved, but there were also many things that I did not love, and some things that surprised me. So I will talk about both. In this series, we're retaking a look at cities and countries around the world and answering whether they overrated or underrated based on our personal experiences. Okay, let's start with the overrated stuff. First up, the Eiffel Tower. Another thing that I feel is overrated is the food. Now, I know this is a bold statement to make, because France is known for its food. But to be honest, I wasn't impressed. We ate some amazing food in Paris, that goes without saying. Overall, I feel like it didn't live up to the hype. While I was in Paris, I went to a restaurant with a friend and her boyfriend who lived in France. He took me to this restaurant, Le Boy en Chartier, which is a famous traditional French brasserie. This was my introduction to traditional French food. And while it was a cute restaurant and had an amazing atmosphere, the food was just okay, to be honest. Now, maybe I'm comparing it to the amazing food I had in other parts of France, but it just did not live up to the hype. My friend agreed with me. She said that while it's a cute place to go for lunch or dinner, she wouldn't go out of her way to eat there again. Her boyfriend, who is French, disagreed and said that he loves the place. But I guess we all have different opinions. I will say that if you want to experience traditional French cuisine, then I would recommend eating at a small bistro instead of a famous restaurant. Bistros usually have better food, a more authentic atmosphere, and are much cheaper than famous restaurants. And speaking of cheap, another thing I found overrated was the shopping. The next thing I found overrated was the service. Now, we experience great service in a lot of places. Now, enough about the bad. Let's talk about the good. The next thing I found underrated was walking around and discovering the different neighborhoods. Speaking of neighborhoods, the next thing I found underrated was the Latin Quarter. The last thing I want to talk about is underrated. Food. Yes, I said food again. So now I want to hear from you guys. Have you ever been to Paris? What did you think? Is it overrated or underrated in your opinion?